السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد. As the month of Ramadan is less than 15 days away, it is important that we continuously try to improve our spiritual connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that way when the month of Ramadan comes, we're not just beginning reciting the Quran, we're not just beginning getting to even conversate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather we are already warmed up and prepared for the month of Ramadan, and when the month of Ramadan comes, we are ready to fully engage in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we mentioned a few a'mal that we should try to focus on before the month of Ramadan comes, such as making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, beginning our recitation of the Quran, and different a'mal such as salah that we should try to work on in different aspects. Another very important point and ibadah I thought was, a lot of times, especially for the gamers, or for anyone that's dealing with technology nowadays, I remember my teacher saying something very important and something very useful that a lot of us are actually not aware of and at times ghafil of. And that is, when, even as a gamer, and obviously you shouldn't spend too much time doing this, but when you're playing a game and you're sitting in a lobby or waiting for the screen to load up, it usually takes about 10, 20, 30 seconds, I believe, depending on what game you're playing or what you're doing, what software you're using, whatever it may be, whatever you are doing. But there's always that loading time. When you turn on the computer, there's a loading time. When you turn on your PS4s, Xboxes, whatever it may be, there's a loading time. In that loading time, we are either doing nothing, which is the worst, or we're doing something that's not as productive. But subhanAllah, even when we are doing things like this, let it be working, turning on our computers, even if it may be turning on our PS4s or Xboxes, we need to use that time in making it productive. So whatever we are doing, inshallah ta'ala, it's going to be halal. Number one, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is always halal. But nevertheless, you want to make sure that whatever time you're getting, you're using it in a rightful and good, productive way. And so my teacher said that when this is happening, when you see things are loading and you're just sitting there, instead of just sitting there, if we can just recite astaghfirullah, make istighfar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or do some tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah, subhanallah, whatever it may be, but don't let that time go to waste. Because by letting that time go to waste, eventually these small slots that we get turn out to be a very big deal, especially to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's try to use these times that we have, going from one place to another, sitting in the car, time where we are not doing anything at all. Use those times, those few seconds that we got, use them in making the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sending salah upon the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, doing istighfar. It doesn't matter what it is. Just make sure we are doing some form of dhikr at that portion to make sure that our time becomes blessed and ultimately we are rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's try our best to utilize every single minute and second that we have, so that way when the month of Ramadan comes, we are ready to use the whole month in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and spiritually connecting ourselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khair, wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.